multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So we're going to look at each of these by doing an example. So let's start off with multiplication. 1/2 times 1/3 is our example. So we just multiply together the numerators and denominators, so we get 1 times 1 in the numerator over 2 times 3 in the denominator, and that works out to be 1/6. Division is very similar to multiplication, with the exception that we have one extra step. So let's begin by writing it as 1/2 divided by 1/3. So the extra step is to invert the second fraction and then do multiplication. So we're going to rewrite this as 1/2 times the inverted second fraction, 3/1. And then again in the numerator, we're going to get 3 times 1, which is 3, and the denominator 2 times 1, which is 2. So 3/2. Adding and subtracting our fractions is actually a little bit more complicated, and that's because we have to find a common denominator. So let's look at that example. We have 1/2 plus 1/3. So we begin by getting a common denominator as the product of the two denominators. So 2 times 3 is the common denominator. And then we distribute that common denominator to each of the numerator terms. So we have we have 1 times 3 plus 1 times 2. Doing the arithmetic, we get 3 plus 2 in the numerator, which is 5. And then we get 2 times 3, which is 6, so 5, 6. To do subtraction, very similar. Once again, 1/2 minus 1/3. Again, we begin by finding the common denominator, which is the product of the two denominators, 2 times 3. And then we distribute that in the numerator, so we get 1 times 3, minus, in this case, 1 times 2. So then we get, in the numerator we get 1, and in the denominator we get 6, or 1/6. So those are the 4 fraction rules shown to you with some simple examples. So let's do a practical example of using the fraction rules. So in this example, we have two solar panels with different numbers of cells. So the way a solar panel works is light comes into the solar panel, and the solar panel is so constructed that it converts the sunlight into electricity. In our first solar panel, it has 9 cells, 9 individual solar cells, but only 2/3 of them are working. And in the second solar panel, it has 20 cells, but only 3 out of 4 are working, or 3/4 of them are working. And what we want to know is how many solar cells are working altogether. So we can use our fraction rules to solve this problem. So for the first panel, we have 9 solar cells, and the number that are working are 2/3. And in the second solar panel, we have 20 cells, but only 3/4 are working. So we can do each of these pieces of math individually and then add them together. So in the first case, we have 9 times 2/3, so we get 18 over 3, plus 20 times 3 over 4, which gives me 60 over 4. So we want to add these two together using our fraction rules. Once again, we can rewrite this as 18 times 4 plus 60 times 3 over the common denominator, which is 3 times 4. Doing the arithmetic, we get 18 times 4, which is 72, plus 60 times 3, which is 180, over 3 times 4, which is 12, which gives us a grand total of 252 divided by 12, which is equal to 21. So So 21 solar cells out of all of those solar cells are actually working.